Okay, folks, good evening and welcome to a special edition here of our programming on Cayman Mall Road. We have some representatives that are going to be joining us from Honduras. I know a lot of you today have been reaching out, being extremely anxious about what is happening with the visa situation for those of you who wish to visit Honduras. So we are pleased to have in the studio with us this evening a very special guest, Mr. Tony Garcia, who is Secretary of State of Immigration and Foreign Affairs. So, Mr. Garcia, good morning, good evening, sorry, and welcome to the program. And thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My pleasure to be talking to Gran Cayman citizens and residents, a place that I like very much. I was there a couple of times doing a consular mobile services for my people, and I loved it. And it's so good to be with you tonight.
Yes, well, thank you again. So we have a lot of citizens here of the Cayman Islands, and even some citizens of Honduras who have been in this country a very long time, have adopted the Cayman Islands as their second home, have a lot of concerns about what is happening in relation to the visa situation. So, do you mind just answering some general questions before we get to where we are now? When did the government of Honduras decide to put this in place? Because we heard about it maybe a month or so ago. How long has this actually been in the works?
Yes, the decision was taken 30 days ago. It was
Okay.
published,
Yeah.
and we gave 30 days notice to all the British citizens to have enough time to apply for a visa. So that period of time ended today. So
Mhm.
as of today, citizens of Great Britain are required to have a visa. We did so in response to a decision that they made in the same sense about 6 months ago,
Mhm.
requiring Hondurans to need a visa to visit the UK.
Mm.
So because of that, we were forced to reciprocate
Mhm.
and apply the same measure. And that was done 30 days ago.
Mm.
And during that decree, we omitted to exclude the citizens from Gran Cayman and the British citizens who are residents in Gran Cayman. We
Right.
omitted to do that. We
Okay.
realized the mistake because I want to make it very clear that Gran Cayman for Honduras is something very special.
Mhm.
We recognize that Honduran citizens are the third largest foreign group, very
Mhm.
well integrated, and there is an airline from Gran Cayman flying to Honduras. There is a lot of relations, cultural tourism, family, and we wouldn't like to apply that for Gran Cayman. When we realized that omission,
Mhm.
we reissued another decree in which we exclude your people from the Gran Cayman, and it's about to be published tomorrow or Monday.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, because the decision has been made already, it's just a matter of publication. It has been decided that as of tomorrow, even though it hasn't been published, there will be no problems for the Cayman Airways flights
Mhm.
arriving tomorrow in La Ceiba. The immigration officers have been told don't require the visa, don't request it. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of time. If we wanted to publish it today, but it wasn't possible because of the bureaucracy things.
Mm.
But the decision has been made. No problem for tomorrow. We have been in contact with the vice president of Cayman Airways, Mr. Forbes, Ivan Forbes, and I have been told today that the Ministry of Residence sent the decree for publication to the printing house. It's already in the printing house. It's a matter now of printing it. So no problem for tomorrow. I am happy to announce that tonight.
Okay. So you say that, I mean, because we covered this just about a month ago that this was coming down the pipeline. And you've confirmed because we suspected that it was in direct response to the United Kingdom government putting a visa requirement in for nationals of Honduras who are going to their country.
Correct,
Yes.
correct. It was our response to
Yeah.
that decision made by them that we
Okay.
regretted very much.
Yeah. Well, I'm beginning to wonder if it was, a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, as we say. Okay, so a month ago, we recognized that this was going to be a problem. We spoke to Mr. Kerry Bennett. What took your government so long, an entire month, and now it's being rushed, and you can't get it gazetted in time for the flight tomorrow? Why? What's been going on all of
Well,
this?
to begin, yeah. Well, to begin with, it took us 6 months to apply that decision on UK citizens. It took us six
Oh,
months because they did it in November, and we just did
uh-huh,
it a month ago. So
I
that we
see.
did it very slowly,
Uh-huh.
and we didn't want to do it, but we were forced. So
Yeah.
a month ago, when we made that decree, we omitted. We just omitted to
Yeah.
exclude you. We omitted it, and then we got the news from people, friends like Kerry, like from Commissioner
Mhm.
Dana Brown, and many friends, telling us you cannot do that. You have to exclude Gran Cayman, and
Yes.
then we have to sign another decree. It has to be drafted, signed, sent to the presidents. That took like 3 weeks, 3 days,
Oh,
three
wow.
weeks. And so
Okay.
that's why we were rushing it this last week, and we couldn't print it today, but it's already in the printing house. So,
Yes.
time in government, 1 month is not that much for government matters, as you may
Yes.
know. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So in your country, in order for the legislation to be passed, it actually has to be printed first.
No, it is a normal, it's customary that when you make a decree, it has to be published in the official diary. That is
Yeah.
everywhere. I am sure you also have that
Yeah.
provision in Gran Cayman.
Okay.
And normally, when it's published, it becomes effective.
Okay.
This decision was signed 2 weeks ago, but it hasn't been published, and that's why we have this confusion.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So in the meantime, there were some persons who even today were messaging me saying that they were trying to obtain tickets to travel to Honduras tomorrow, but they were denied by the airline, Cayman Airways, rightfully so, I should say. They were denied the purchase of those tickets because Cayman Airways knew, obviously, that the visa requirement was in place as of today. If they breach that and allow people to come without a visa, they run the risk of being fined as an airline. So of course they don't want that liability. So for tomorrow's flight, let me just clarify for everyone's benefit exactly what it is that you're saying. For tomorrow's flight, you're essentially saying that people can come without the visa and it's not going to be a problem, and Cayman Airways will not be penalized in any way.
That's correct. I spoke today with the Vice President of Cayman Airways, Mr. Ivan Forb,
Ivan Ford.
and and
Uh-huh.
I wrote a letter to him, official letter from the ministry, explaining to them what I just told you.
Yeah.
And then they got a commitment from Honduras that there will be no problem tomorrow. And
Mhm.
at the same time, the director of immigration instructed his people at the airport that when the flight arrives tomorrow, there will be no problem at all. And
Right.
also, the airline contacted the immigration officers at the airport in La Ceiba, and they confirmed that they got the instruction. So
Mhm.
everything is fine for tomorrow. It's normal.
Mhm.
And Cayman Airways,
Mhm.
the vice president told me tonight that they are going to allow all the passengers to fly tomorrow without any problems because they feel confident they will not be penalized. Yeah,
Mhm. Okay.
yeah,
All right. So hopefully you're saying the latest early next week it should be formally gazetted. And then after
absolutely.
that, now
Yeah,
let's just clarify because there was a little bit of confusion last night. I think we spoke yesterday evening to Mr. Miguel Brown, and there was some confusion about who the exclusion applies to. So let us make sure that we understand for the people in the Cayman Islands exactly who this exclusion will be applicable to, right?
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, it applies to all Caymanese citizens having
Okay.
a Caymanese passport.
Uh-huh.
It also applies to Caymanese citizens having a British passport, and
Okay.
it also applies to British citizens who are residents, official residents in Gran Cayman.
Uh-huh. So,
Okay.
let me to seek clarification. So if I am a British national, say I came from, I came on British Airways, I came by way of, the Bahamas flight, and I am here in the Cayman Islands. I am not resident here. So say I'm going to stay here for a month or two. That doesn't make me a resident. I could not come into Honduras without the visa. Is that correct?
That's correct. You need to be an official resident of Gran Cayman, and you need by that we assume you would
Yeah.
have an ID card, a residence card.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't have residence cards yet. That's a whole other situation. But I mean, they might have something, a
Something.
stamp or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, in a statement, something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
We have to work out the details, but
Yeah.
anyone proving that you're a resident, then we are
Mhm.
going to be very flexible, because the idea is to not to severe links between Gran Cayman and Honduras. We don't want to touch that special relationship that we have with you.
Yeah. Yes, because of course, there's very, very close connections between the two countries, and especially the Bay Islands. We
Yeah,
have
correct.
Ian with a question here. So he says, what about work permit holders or permanent residents? So both of those would be considered permanently resident in the Cayman Islands. So either of those, Damien, should be fine. So they'd have to show some proof of either their permanent residency in the Cayman Islands or a work permit stamp in their passport.
Correct. A work permit will make you a resident in Gran Cayman, and we will accept that. And speaking of the Bay Islands, I want to uh, point out the role that Dana Brown played on this. She called me a few weeks and a few days ago to tell me how worried she was about this restriction, and she helped to push this decision and this and the printing. So I want to put that on record. And
We were
also,
hoping she could have joined us this evening, but she was unavailable. So Vanessa says, what about a resident with a Honduras passport? Well, you wouldn't have an issue because it's
absolutely not.
Yeah, you're only going to have an issue when you have links to the UK through a UK passport. And of course, people of the Cayman Islands have Cayman status. We're Caymanians, but a lot of us also have acquired the British, automatically we're BOTCs, we're British Overseas Territory citizens, but a lot of us have also acquired that UK passport. And there are many people who no longer have their Cayman passport. They only have that UK passport. So how will you ensure, let me ask you this question, because, for example, there are Caymanians who have moved to the United Kingdom and they may only have that one passport. How would you know, if I were in that situation, how would you determine that I'm a Caymanian if I don't even have a Cayman passport? Like, what sort of documentation should somebody maybe travel with or have available that they would be asking these questions at the point of entry at your airport?
No, I don't think we will be too detailed. If you were born in Gran Cayman, and the passport will say that you were born in Gran Cayman for sure. That for us should be a good reason to presume
As long
that
as somebody tells you
from
that,
Gran
you don't
Cayman.
need any proof of it. I mean, anybody can say they were born here.
No, but the passport will say place of birth for sure.
Right. But there
Right.
are some
So,
people who are Caymanians who were actually not born in the Cayman Islands. So I'm just kind of
I see.
wondering, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? How
Yeah, we'll talk to Gran Cayman. We'll talk to Cayman Airways to see how we can work out the list of what is good, what is acceptable, what is not. So we are going to work out the details with Cayman Airways so that they don't get in trouble, and that they could perhaps advise us which are the best ways to verify that. Because this is new territory for us as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll talk to Cayman Airways and come
So
to
I'm just
the
asking
agreed
these
list.
questions because some of the questions might give you some notations that you can then follow up on. So Perla
Yes.
says, what about those Honduran Caymanians that have the cedula, which is the Honduran ID? Can they travel with this ID?
Yes, Honduran citizens to come home, they can even come with an expired passport. There is no problem for Hondurans, and we recognize double nationality as well. So that
Yes.
wouldn't be a problem. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Shona, sorry, I think that should answer your question as well. People on passport born in Honduras, they should be fine. So Damien says, so Cayman, UK, and Honduran passports can enter with no visa. Then all other passport travelers must have a work permit stamp or some proof of Cayman citizenship. So just to be clear, Damien, because it's not quite that, if you are a citizen of the United Kingdom, the only way you will be exempted is if you can prove that you are ordinarily resident in the Cayman Islands. And that can take many different forms. So that might be a work permit holder, or that could be someone who has permanent residency or something else of that sort. I mean, I don't know what other categories, but you couldn't, for example, be a visitor in the Cayman Islands with a UK passport and then go to Honduras without the visa requirement then being triggered.
But yeah, well, I think I have said it all. Nothing new to add. I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I need to go.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Garcia. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to explain
No,
this change for us and to alleviate the concerns for people who are traveling tomorrow.
you're welcome, and my greetings to all of you. I was there twice, and I loved it. It was beautiful. I mean,
Yes.
amazing. I was well treated by the authorities, by the citizens, by my fellow citizens, and I have a very nice feeling for Gran Cayman, and that's why I was pushing this very hard to make sure that there wouldn't be any trouble for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Garcia. We appreciate it.
Okay. Good night.
Have a good night. Okay. Buenas noches. All right, folks. So again, hopefully that's clear. There were people trying to buy, passage today, and they Cayman Airways said, no way, you don't have a visa, we're not getting in trouble, because it's actually a big deal for the airlines. I don't think a lot of people realize this, but when an airline permits someone to get on board as a passenger who doesn't have the proper documentation that is required by that country, the airline actually gets fined. And in a lot of instances, the fine is a substantial fine, all $25,000 and all sorts of stuff. So, of course, Cayman Airways, I don't know what the fine is in Honduras, but I know, for example, the FAA in the US, they take these things very, very seriously. So, Cayman Airways certainly would not have wanted to take that chance. So they were denying people tickets, and I say that that's fair and just. So they're still getting it gazetted. So let me just explain what he has said. They're still getting it gazetted. That has not been completed as yet. But what they're going to do for the flight tomorrow in particular is to basically give the entire plane an exemption so that you can go into Honduras tomorrow and you should not have any issues. Bruce says, buenas noches. Hey, Lavana, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Everybody at Instagram, so good to see you guys. All right, so tomorrow morning, we'll be here at 7:30. We have a lot of interesting things to cover tomorrow morning. Please don't forget, we're also doing some of our giveaways tomorrow morning as well. So please tune in for that. Miss Susan Bodden, thank you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, they reached out, and the minister there was willing to come onto the program, and we appreciate them. Obviously he's a very busy man. So we appreciate the Secretary of State of Immigration and Foreign Affairs joining us this evening. Everyone, please enjoy the rest of your evening. Share this with anybody else that may have had some concerns. Hopefully this will help them understand exactly what is transpiring. And I will see you guys at 7:30 in the morning. All right, Miss Lizette. Thank you, Tyree. So good to see you. Says thanks for the confirmation. So everybody have a safe flight. All the people who are traveling on that Honduras flight tomorrow morning, please be safe as well. Eddie, buenas noches, everybody. Have a good one.